Do a little mic check to see if you guys can hear me. Test. Yes, I think we're good. I think we're good. Hello, hello. Welcome to Sew Jeaux Live. It's my morning sewing show coming to you live from my East Coast studio. But guys, there's one problem. It is not morning on the East Coast. I'll get it together. Better late than never, right? Yeah. Maybe next time I will it will actually be in the morning. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. Um, if you are a returning subscriber, hey girl, hey, welcome back. Um, if you are new here, welcome, welcome. And my hope is that you will subscribe and like the video and share it with your sewist friends. Around here, we talk about trending topics, lingerie and bra making, sewing in general, and business. And we do it all over a strong cup of Joe. Okay. Um, yes, strong cup of Joe, right? And we spell Joe around here Jeaux because it's a nod to my Creole roots. Okay, and this is also in honor of my maman. That's what we call our grandmoms in Louisiana, but especially this one right here. This is my heart. Um, I miss her dearly, but it was with her. I had my very first morning chats over coffee and toast. I was probably about 5 years old, and I don't know what gratification she got out of having those chats with me, but we would giggle and we had so much fun. And I have to tell you now that has sparked a tradition in my house that first I have coffee and then and only then do I do things. So today I am sipping Nespresso Intensio, and I have a dash of heavy cream in here, not a lot, just enough to give it that caramel color, right? I love that. So that's what I'm sipping today. Let me go ahead and have a sip. Mm. I love coffee. And so if you're tuning in, why don't you just type in the chat where you're tuning in from and what you're drinking? Okay. All right. And so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Since this is the first episode, I wanted to do a get to know me kind of chat. So, what I've done is I've assembled some questions that my students typically ask me and people in general who just want to know what it is that I do. So, let's jump right in. Okay. So, first question. What is your name? Where are you from? And what do you do for a living? Well, my name is Dion, and I'm a Louisiana girl by way of Maryland. I am a serial entrepreneur with a love for business. I really focus all my efforts on entrepreneurship. I love inspiring creatives to make things, but not only make things, but think about how to monetize them in a creative way. I teach sewing and fashion to some young creatives, in addition to mentoring aspiring fashion designers who are in their junior and senior year of their degree programs. Yeah. Okay. Next question. How long have you been sewing? Okay. I've been sewing 30 plus years. Okay. 30 plus years. I'm definitely giving my age away. But ever since I could pick up a needle, I started sewing. Yeah, so that's that. Next question. What do you sew? So when I first started sewing, I started out actually making prom gowns because I needed one for myself, but making prom gowns and bridesmaids gowns, and then that blossomed into outfits and other types of clothing. And I would say for the past 10 years, though, I've focused on lingerie and bra making and loungewear for men and women. What's your specialty? So my specialty is really lingerie and bra making. I've been doing that for the past 10 years. And I really focus on women that you would are typically deemed as complicated fit. And that's not just women with large breasts or full cup women. it really kind of spans the gamut. It could be women with on the itty bitty committee as well. But the most gratifying part of what I do is I've been able to work with some really, really wonderful women who have undergone mastectomies and other types of surgery from experiencing breast cancer. So that's been the most gratifying part of my business. Next question. So, what are your machines? Okay, so currently, let's just actually show you here. Just add that. Currently, I am working with Husqvarna. So this is one of my machines. I have two of these Husqvarna Viking Sapphire 930 machines. These are my workhorses. Okay, I use those. I have brother serger machines. You can see one here in the back. They're the 1034Ds. I have also a brother cover stitch machine. And my industrial machines are a Singer 457, and that one does straight stitching in addition to zigzag stitching. I also have an Atlas double needle, and I use that a lot. Excuse me, I use that a lot with doing the channel, underwire channel that requires like 2 stitches. And I also, you typically see those stitches with jeans and things like that too. So I have an industrial double needle machine that takes care of that task for me. Next question. Self-taught or formal classes? So it's a bit of both, actually. I would say mostly self-taught. I very early when I was a teenager, I mean, I first learned how to sew in home economics. Okay, again, once again, I'm dating myself. But I was so inspired by that over the summer I took fashion and pattern making classes, and I have really been kind of off and running ever since then. So it's a little bit of both, but I will tell you mostly self-taught through online research, through videos, books, and things of that nature. The typical things that you hear other seamstresses use to learn a skill, and that sort of thing. So it's a bit of both. Self-taught mostly, though. Next question. Big four or indie patterns? That's actually a toss-up for me. I tend to make my most of my patterns, and I rarely buy any. But what I would say is I would typically go for indie patterns, the kind that you can download and they're instantaneous. I like the instant gratification. Um, and they're usually not the really large form. I'm not making like shirts and things like that. It may just be just something special. And But I also have purchased, the print ones as well. But it's very rare that I do that, and that would also be for something special that's maybe someone wants. And so I would say typically it's really 50-50 for that. I tend to use my patterns most often. Next question. Favorite sewing task? Okay, so I would say my favorite sewing task is, putting the finishing touches on things, putting that little bow in place, doing the top stitching, all those things that give it its pop and personality at the end of the day, when it's all said and done. I love that. But to be honest with you, on second thought, really, my most favorite sewing task is when it's all done and I've got my client in front of me and they try it on for the first time and their confidence changes right before my eyes, especially in the line of business that I'm in, because it's not just women who are enduring change from breast cancer, but just ordinary women who who don't have a bra that fit them well, um, it's so awesome to see how the posture changes and how they just are overwhelmed by the fit and the comfort of a bra that fits really well. So I would say that. I would say it's really the reveal that is my favorite task. Next question. Least favorite. Okay. I probably am going to sound like a broken record, but just like most, I do not love cutting. With bras, sometimes it could be upwards of 40 to 50 pieces that you have to coordinate and assemble. Some of that is trim, rings and slides and things like that. But with cutting, it's a lot of layers and things because you have to get the fit just right, and sometimes it takes multiple layers for that. And so I would say cutting is probably my least favorite, even though I have really good tools for that. I love the rotary cutters and all of that, but I still, if I could pass that task off, that would be any task off, that would be the task that I would pass off. Okay. Cause it's time consuming. And in addition to what the cutting part, I also do custom dyeing of the fabrics and trims and all of that. So when you actually add all of that together, it's a very long process. So if I could, pass that off, it would be the cutting part. Yeah. Next question. Okay. Best advice for beginner sewists. Okay. So I would say that my best advice is really to take your time and enjoy the process. Uh, Sewing is really a lesson in patience. If you are rushing to get to the end, you're likely going to make mistakes. And let me tell you, you don't want to be in a place where you have to undo things. It takes more time to undo than it does to put things together. And then you risk ruining your fabric. So I would say if you get frustrated, take a break, walk away, and then come back with a refreshed outlook. But definitely take your time. The assembling process, just learn to enjoy that part of it. That would be my best advice. Okay. What was the last pattern you purchased? Hmm, Let's see. So I don't buy patterns very often. So I would say, oh, so the last pattern that I purchased was a bunny pattern that I purchased from an indie pattern maker. I purchased that so that I can teach my sister how to sew. We're making this bunny for her grandbaby. And so we thought that that would be a great project to do together just to get her um, acclimated with her sewing machine and understanding its stitches and all of that. And the awesome thing too is that I get to support another indie pattern maker like myself. So that's another reason why I like purchasing indie patterns. Knits or wovens? Okay. So I would say knits. I get a good dose of both knits and wovens doing lingerie, surprisingly so. But yes, wovens are used in lingerie making as well. Um, I do. I'm really comfortable with knits because, as you know, your undergarments, especially the panties, they need to have a bit of stretch for comfort and for support and all of that. So you get really comfortable working with knits. And sometimes wovens you might find like a non-stretch panel in a pair of panties, but definitely in bras you find a combination of non-stretch and stretch fabrics, so you get to work with both. And I really don't have a really particular a real preference, but I do enjoy working with knits as well. And to be quite honest with you, in my programs for the kids that I'm working with, I actually push them to work with knits by the end of the program. It's really leaning towards a more intermediate type of skill because a lot of seamstresses avoid it in the beginning because they're just so afraid. But if you I'm trying to avoid them becoming fearful of it by, introducing it and showing them that it's accessible to them. They just have to take their time. And with everything, it's just practice. It really is just practice. So yes, knits and wovens, I guess, is the answer to that question. Okay, next question. Okay, where do you purchase fabric most often? Okay, so I have suppliers that I usually buy most of my fabrics in bulk from. However, when I'm shopping retail or if I need to get something in a pinch, I love Etsy. And the reason I love Etsy is because you have access to fabrics from all over the world because the vendors, the sellers are from all over the world. And so I just love that diversity and the availability. Sometimes you have to wait because, if it's coming from Turkey or someplace like that, it's going to take a while. But I just love the accessibility of that. If I'm in a real pinch, then I will defer to local stores. And I have a Joann's near me, and I will definitely go there if need be. And I have one more store that is here in the area. It's called G Street Fabrics. I absolutely love that store. They have awesome selections, lots of different types of fabrics, even housewares, home decor fabrics and things like that. I love their selection. They could be a little bit pricey, and as you know, and if you're in business, you don't want to pay a lot for something that you're selling because that cost gets passed on to your customers. So I tend to avoid that unless it's something really special and I can't get it anywhere quickly. Um, I will tend to go to Etsy first and then my local Joann's. But there are some other online stores that I typically like as well. There is fabricstore.net. There is also fabric.com. There's quite a few online, and I tend to enjoy that experience more than running to the store. Next question. Do you have a favorite place to shop? Etsy. Etsy is my number one for retail. I love it. I love it. I tend to buy most things there. It's like the first place that I go, especially since the panorama. Um, that definitely teaches you to utilize resources like that. But Etsy is like one of my favorites. That's my favorite place to shop for fabric. When did you know that sewing was a passion? Okay. So sewing became a passion at age 12. When I took it in home economics, my mother had attempted her journey in sewing around that same time, right before then. And she got really frustrated and she ended up shoving her sewing machine in the back of the closet, never to see the light of day again. When I took home economics, one of the projects that I had to do was create a simple A line skirt and then a matching top. And you know what? To be quite honest with you, the reason that experience was so impactful for me, it was really the teacher. She nurtured my desire to do a good job so much and so well that it really sparked something in me. She she saw that I had a little bit of a talent in there with sewing, so she decided to enter my outfit that I made into local and regional competitions, and I ended up winning, and in both at both levels. So I it was on and popping from there, and I've been kind of sewing and designing, and from there I actually went to a program over the summer and learned to do the pattern making and like some basic design things. And I had started my first business at age 13, sewing and designing. And when I tell you that business grew like overnight, it grew overnight. And then family started to request things and that sort of thing. And it just became overwhelming. I found myself sewing into the wee hours of the morning and the sun would catch me. I could not keep that up and keep up my grades. So um, I ended up having to shut it down. And then later, after the heat was off, I could sneak back into the sewing thing. And when I bought my first house, that's when I started kind of like sewing, really sewing again, because a girl needed drapes. And I don't know if you've looked at the price of those things. It's so expensive. So I ended up doing all of that stuff myself. It became a very useful skill for me. And then later, got into lingerie, which I did to solve a problem, not only for myself, but for other customers that I knew had similar issues. My sister is a two-time breast cancer survivor. And so she wanted all the cute bras, even though she had been through double mastectomy. And so I wanted to make sure that I can accommodate her too. So it was a process that I took on, and that's how I got here. Next question. Okay. I'm new to sewing. Do you recommend a specific brand or of sewing machine for beginners? Yes, I do. When I first started out, my semi-professional and then professional career in sewing, and doing custom work, I started out with Brother machines. I have beaten quite a few of those machines up. I actually love them. I do not have them in my shop now because the machines that I have are more on the professional level. But I love Brother machines. They make some really solid beginner friendly machines at a good price. Typically about around 150. You can find them on Amazon. When my students ask me, I always refer them to the GX37 model and the CS 0055. One is a manual, one is a computer model, but they're very similar. They may have a little bit of a difference in number of stitches, but they are very simple machines to work with, and they give you a consistent experience. And the one thing that I do want to say to the beginner also, when you're looking for a sewing machine, go for a basic. You don't want to get one that has so many bells and whistles on it because you'll become bogged down by all of those options when actually you'll only use a few of them. You'll probably use three stitches: your straight stitch, your zigzag stitch, and maybe even a buttonhole, right? And I'll tell you, years later, okay, many years later, you'll find that you're still only using those stitches, right? In the beginning, it's exciting. You'll see all the beautiful decorative stitches that they make, and then you'll test those out, never to use them again. So I would say just steer clear of things that are overly inundated with features. Try to just focus on the basic machines, and Brother it are machines that I can definitely stand by because I've used them, I've beaten them up, and have replaced them on many occasions, and they just work really well. Next question. Okay. How often should machines be professionally serviced? Annually. Okay. That's a quick and dirty annually. But there are some things that you can do in the interim. So every now and again, pop that needle plate off. I would say every other project, pop that needle plate off and use the little brush that comes in your toolkit and use it to kind of attract all those dust bunnies that are inside the machine. Because if you don't, if it builds up, you find that you'll have skip stitches or it'll end up getting really clogged down there, and your machine will get, you end up with spaghetti. So you want to avoid that as much as possible, okay? Because you'll end up breaking needles, you end up damaging your machine. So just kind of pop the needle plate off and do a quick brush from time to time. Okay. Next question. How did you get started? Um, how did you get your start in sewing and fashion? Kind of already told you that story. It started in my home economics class, and thank goodness for mom for kind of sparking the idea and for her getting frustrated. But let me tell you, mom is an awesome sewist now. She makes all sorts of things, and she makes her own patterns and everything too. Um, but she's a creative. I get it from my mama. Can't help it. So anyway, yeah, I just really got excited because that teacher really, yeah, I wish I could remember. I'm gonna have to look her name up, but she is the one. And so I'm aspiring so much in my programs to be that teacher for my students as well. Would you be willing to teach others how to start their own business? Ugh, yeah, okay, that's a no-brainer. That's where my heart is. I want to inspire new entrepreneurs, especially makers and those who are creative, because you know we all aspire to do things that we love, right? And if you have a passion for making things, then why not be able to monetize that? Why not be able to make a living off of that, right? So of course, that goes without saying. I would love to do that. Okay. Most disastrous make. Okay. Let's see. So my most disastrous make. So what I would say is, hmm, when I started making bras, when I started developing my patterns for the bras, I had so many fails. So many fails. And it was so frustrating because, as you know, as us women know, bras are hard to find ones that fit you properly, have the right shape. Sometimes we want to be directed more to the front, sometimes we want to be minimized, but then that means then we're spreading out a little bit beyond our rib cage. It's a very nuanced thing, and this might be TMI, but let me tell you, I would spend morning till night in front of my sewing machine with no bra on, and I would just produce toile after toile until I got it right. And let me tell you, there have been many failures over that process. It took me about 3 years, but I'll tell you, um, I would never, what am I trying to say? It's an experience I am very happy that I had, because I know things that I should and shouldn't do. I know I can almost predict the fit of things as a result of all of the trial and error that I had been through in the process of developing my own patterns and blocks. Next question. Okay. Most favorite make. So that's really tough because I have a lot of babies, right? I'm in the custom business, and it's always awesome to see things, new things, right? Um, that have been developed from maybe a base thing, and all of a base pattern or something. But I have a lot of babies, and as you can see behind me, there's some of my babies back there, right? Um, and yeah, so I have a lot of babies. Okay, I love, in terms of the lingerie. Yes, these are some of my faves. And I would say the ones that my customers like most are the sheer bras, and that one, that nude and black one, is a sheer bra with just a little bit of lace on it, because they fit like air, and the fabric is so thin and see through, but it's so strong and supportive and all of that. So it's delicate, but it's a very strong fabric. So I would say those are. So I have a few more. So as I mentioned, I in the beginning when I first started, when I first started sewing, I was doing gowns and things like that. So, even in the process of me focusing on lingerie, I have done some custom work, some custom gowns amidst all of that. And there's one in particular that I do want to mention, and I want to show you. Let me see if this is the next slide here. Yes. Okay. So this is one of my good girl friends who is the chair of a breast cancer foundation, and every year they have an annual gala, and she also performs. And she's also one of my singing sisters, right? Because we both sang and dance and things like that, sang together. But what the idea behind this was to was a living ribbon. So as you can see, I've incorporated um, the breast cancer ribbon here into the gown, and so it brought it to life. And let me show you what it looks like on stage. Yes. So, so this was a favorite of mine. I love this gown. It fit her so well. She was so comfortable and so confident in it. I mean, she's confident, period. But the dress took her to like the moon, okay? And it took me to the moon too because I was over the moon for how excited she was about it. Um, yes, and so that's another of my favorites. All right, next question. Most used pattern. So, as I mentioned before, I make all of my patterns. So, I would just say one of my blocks, and it's probably the one that is the sheer one back there. That one, a lot of customers like that. So I use that cup style a lot in making custom bras for my customers. Yeah, and that bra cup that supports women of all sizes. Believe it or not, even really, really large breasts can pull that off very, very well. In fact, I've got some on the channel. So if you take a look at some of my past videos, you'll see very similar cup style with the sheer fabric with big boobs. Yeah, it works very well. Okay. Okay. So, favorite source of sewing entertainment. So, my the thought about this is what do I like to do while I'm sewing? So a couple of things that and the typical thing. Netflix, I love Netflix. But when I'm watching Netflix, it has to be a movie that I don't have to look at. I could get all of it, what's going on from the dialogue. It can't have subtitles or anything like that because I'm focused. But I just, just I put it on just to listen to. Um, Another thing that I use is Audible because I love learning now. So I'm a self improvement junkie, right? So I like to listen to a lot of self improvement books. I love, love, love to learn and then to pass that off to others, right? So I love listening to Audible books and I love YouTube. Okay. In fact, I've got some sinful pleasures, some content creators that I dare not mention that I watch, and I actually just watch them from the bushes. But yeah, I spend a lot of time looking at YouTube videos, and I love Bravo and I love Stars, both of those networks. So I do watch, like some other cable um, programs and stuff like that. Like, yeah, for sure. I just, pass the time and music. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but I love music too, and I'll listen to music. And I'll have my headphones on. So that because I get up and walk around all day in in different and like my cutting area is in another room and so that I can don't miss anything, right? So I keep my wireless headset on while I'm doing that. And unfortunately, I end up getting scared a lot because when my husband comes in the room, I can barely see him, and so when I turn, I scream my lungs out, and to the point that he gets scared and he gets mad at me for doing it. I can't help it. He should announce himself. Okay. All right. Next question. Okay. Are you named after anyone? Really good question, and this one is dear to my heart too. Yes, I am named after. So this beautiful grandmother of mine, her name is Adoteya, and she's Creole, and and she is a mystery in my family. She is my third great grandmother, and recently I did ancestry, right? And so and let me tell you, it's the most addictive thing. Oh my goodness. It is the most addictive thing. I spend my nights into the wee hours of the morning searching and documenting. But this picture is a picture of her. My mother got it from her daughter, which is in the right hand corner. I and it got damaged, water damaged in a flood in the house. So I recently restored it, and this is what I came up with. I just wanted to show you this because I think it's so neat. But she is a mystery, and I am really trying to find everything that I can possibly find on her. And yeah. So that's my obsession right now. But yes, I am named after someone. Okay, favorite food. Okay, you guys, I'm from Louisiana, so I love all of the bad stuff, right? Okay, all of the rich food. But at the base of all of it is seafood. I love seafood. I love sausage. Oh my gosh. Okay, I love pizza, although I don't do that very often because as I've gotten older, I have developed allergies like um, gluten issues. Oh my goodness, I forgot to show you one more pattern that I feel is my favorite. It's sitting right here. I took it out just so I can share that with you. And I'm sorry this is off topic, but I definitely want to show you. Um, these guys here. I love these. These are so cute. These are popular among my customers, right? These fit all girls, right? They're bikinis, but they fit all girls. These little ruffles, man, so cute. I have an actual video on my channel. Showing you how to make this. I'm actually going to make this pattern available in my store just so that because I've had a couple people reach out about this. So stay tuned. I will be bringing this. Let me show you this in the overhead. This actually reminds me of, and I'm so off topic, sorry. These panties actually remind me let me show you of those panties that were made for babies where there were just ruffles on the backside, but these are much more sexy, honey. These are sexy and ruffly and soft, and I make these out of silk. Okay, um, they are just I just love them. Okay, and my customers love them too. They actually remind me of those panties that we used to get that had the days of the week. I could see these in days of the week. Oh my goodness, I love these. Okay, so all right, so this is another thing that I love. Okay, one of my favorite makes. Okay, back to what we were talking about. Okay, all right. Okay, favorite food. Yeah, so I do like pizza and all that stuff, but honestly, I'm a girl who loves gumbo. I'm a girl who loves etouffee. I'm a girl who loves jambalaya, and we make all of those things. But because I have had the issues with gluten, your girl has been experimenting. Okay, ways to still enjoy my favorite foods, but without the gluten. And maybe I'll even share some of that stuff. Let me know down in the chat if it's something that you would like me to share. But I also love Asian food so much, especially Thai. Mm, 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 mm. I love. I love Thai food. Yes, I love Thai food. Yes, so good. But I love Asian food. Okay, and of course, it always has shrimp in it. It always has shrimp. Okay, all right. Next question. Zodiac sign. I'm a Gemini. I'm a Gemini girl. Uh, yes, I just had a birthday this past week, and so much fun. Okay, so I had my favorite seafood. My favorite fish is Chilean sea bass. Okay, so we had that. We went to my favorite restaurant. Okay, and the sad thing about um, birthdays is that it's so gluttonous with the cocktails and the good food. Okay, it's hard to get through it all, and then at the end they want to bring you that cake and stuff. And okay, the restaurant that I went to is called Ocean Prime. If you have one in your area, Don't sleep on it. Okay. And so they had this butter cake, and I'm not supposed to have any of that. I tore it up. I tore it up. Okay. So it was so delicious. I could not eat it. I had to leave some of it back, but it makes me want to go back and buy just that butter cake. Mm, it's so good. Okay. All right. Next question. Siblings. Yes, I am the middle of two girls. I grew up the middle of two girls. But let me tell you, since ancestry, I'm finding I've got more out there. So if you're thinking about ancestry, just be open, honey. Just be open. Just be open to the experience. Okay. Be open to the experience. All right. So yes, I do have siblings. Okay. Okay. Let's go back. There we go. Struggle streaming. Okay. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Hobbies. Okay. The only thing that I told you that I maybe have not mentioned is I'm a musician. Yeah. Um, I'm a musician. Music is the first love. Okay. Coming from Louisiana, but also church background. Um, Started singing in choir and things like that. And then that thing kind of grew too. What can I say? I'm multi passionate, and I love um, problem solving with food, especially since my husband and I have gotten to a point where we are experiencing some allergies here in these days. Okay, so trying to make foods that we can eat and be healthy and not get all inflamed as a result. So cooking is also I would say it's a hobby as well. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and that is it. Okay, so we have reached the last question. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really, 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 truly appreciate it. Okay, and the other thing I want to say is be on the lookout for Sojo Live. Okay, it will be mornings. Okay, I promise it will be mornings. I just listen. I kept putting it off, and I know it wasn't going to be perfect. I'm new to this live streaming, and God only knows what it's going to end up really looking like. But it's the first one. You know how you have that perfection thing. Listen, yeah. So I just, I want to do a good job. I want to do a good job. I want to do a good job. But, at the same time, I forget what they say. It's better to get it done than to have a perfect, I don't know, whatever. But stay on the lookout for my next Sojo Live, which will be weekly mornings. Okay. And the only way to do that is to subscribe and to um, check the little check bar in the bell notification so that you don't miss a single thing. All right. So, and of course, if there's something that you'd like to see me make, okay, because we will be sewing in this morning chat. If there's something that you're interested in, lingerie, whatever, want to see me make, then please let me know. I'm open. It's my channel, but it's your show. Okay. So I'm interested to hear what your input is. Okay. And that is all. That is all. Thank you again. Okay. Remember to create something beautiful. I'm out.